Hello, everyone. Welcome to the newest podcast about kayak bass fishing in the nation. If you're here to talk kayaks and kayak fishing, you're in the right spot. Your host, John Suits, brings you into the exciting world of Greenfish Nation and all it has to offer. We will have special guests from product manufacturers as well as the end users from the ground level angler up to the big boy pros. The show starts right now, so get your paddles ready and let's get started.
Well, good evening, everybody. I want to welcome you to Greenfish Nation's Beyond the Paddle. We're coming to you right here live from downtown Point, Texas, just west of Lake Fork, just east of Lake Tawakoni, as always. Guys, tonight's show is brought to you by Hard Work and Clean Living. I want to thank you for joining us. Guys, if you have been beating the back roads, the bayous, the byways, and the highways anywhere in this great nation that we live in, you might have actually ran across tonight's guest. Guys, I have a very special guest for you tonight, someone I am excited as always to get to speak with tonight, a guy I have been watching on YouTube for quite a few years that has built himself a pretty successful I guess empire would be the right word. He has done really well for himself fishing in places that a lot of people just drive across and never think about. Guys, I want to welcome to the Beyond the Paddle stage tonight, Mr. John Dalton of Creek Fishing Adventures. You guys give him a big round of applause. Appreciate you joining us tonight, John.
Oh, yeah. Glad to be here. Yeah, I've definitely been all over the bayous and back roads, so you may have drove right by me and didn't see me.
You know, some of the most memorable videos that you've done is, for me, in any aspect, is the Florida ones where, you know, you're just driving down the road and go, hey, that looks like a great spot to fish.
It's hard to leave there. You can't leave because everywhere you drive is just canals and waterways and everything looks good. And there's so many fish in there. That's definitely some of my favorite videos to go do. And I probably should do them more often, but it's a little bit of a drive for me to get down there, but it's always worthwhile.
Yeah. So I've noticed a lot of your videos, very beautiful, pristine creeks and things, you know, and it's made me kind of start looking around and kind of paying more attention, because I'm one of those guys that drove over those places going to point A to point B, you know, and now I catch myself thinking, man, you know, I need to stop there and fish one day. You've opened my eyes to that, and I appreciate that. But we have a lot of snaky looking alligator infested junk around here. I don't know. I do see you in some of those places, but we don't have the same opportunities, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Around me, I can be pretty carefree any waterway I go. I saw a snake the other day that I'm pretty sure was a cottonmouth, but they run away, and then, you know, all the stuff. But yeah, we don't have nearly much swamps, and a lot of our streams are colder water, not as many snakes and not that many venomous ones. But I've been in a few where I've been scared, but usually if I'm going with somebody else and they're going through it, I got to go through it. I can't chicken out. Like, well, if he's going, I got to go.
Yeah.
I would be a little nervous when there's down your way. I haven't done a lot of stuff in Texas, and I want to do some more down there. I've only been in the hill country fishing, and that was a little higher elevation. That was a really cool experience.
Yeah, no, they have a lot of, I guess they call them rivers down there. They would be creeks to most people, and a lot of those down there in that area, there's no water in them unless it's rained, you know, up north. And then they're out of the banks for a day or two, and then they kind of calm down. You get a couple days where you can get in there and do some fishing, and then next thing you know, it's dirt and rocks.
Yeah.
But well, man, I was looking at some statistics today. I'm going to share some with our guest tonight. You've got over 153,000 subscribers. You've put up over 987 videos on YouTube. congratulations. That's quite a feat.
Appreciate
Not just the subscribers. That amount of videos is a lot of hours spent behind the camera and a lot of hours spent behind the computer. I just, man, I mean, I don't even have a twinkle in your eye, and I've spent tons of hours behind the camera and behind the computer. I can't imagine that. So how long have you been creek fishing adventures?
I started the channel because in 2016 in the summer, so we're coming up on 8 years of like making videos. And the reason I started the channel was because I couldn't find a YouTube channel when I at that time I didn't see anybody that was making videos on creeks and streams and more multi-species panfish fishing and just kind of ultralight fishing or smallmouth fishing, but really getting in creeks and streams and just catching everything that's in there and just exploring. And that's kind of what led me to starting mine. I was like, well, I guess I'll do it, and never knowing it was going to go anywhere. I just wanted to do it for fun, just to see. I never made a video in my life, and I was like, well, I'll just make a YouTube video. How hard can it be? And it turns out the thing that kept me going was I really enjoyed the process. And that's the thing. I talk to a lot of people that fish, but if you don't enjoy making that video, you won't do it very long, because it does take a lot of effort, a lot of, I don't know. I hate being on a computer. I can't even type. I was doing HVAC, hands-on job, using, tools and, and working outside and under houses, to now I spend half my time sitting on a computer editing, but I get to go out and fish the other half the time. So
hey, that's good
trade-off.
stuff. It's a good trade-off. Yeah. So Bearded Dad, he's done dropped a couple comments here. What's up? We're both John, so I guess he's talking to both of us, but he's definitely talking to you in this comment about being the GOAT. So, but yeah,
we're
I had
fishing
him
in the
on
same
here.
tournament coming up pretty soon.
Yeah. Well, speaking of tournaments, I'll go ahead and I don't know if you have paid a whole lot of attention. I'm sure that you have to the Knucklehead series. I'm actually going to have a team in the Knucklehead series.
Okay. What's okay. Are your team Greenfish?
Team Greenfish, and
Makes
then
sense now.
my right arm, he's going to have Team Greenfish 2, which is TOO, which is Thomas. He's my Texas State representative, and he's my shoulder to cry on, my ear to hear. He's my right hand, and my wife in there, she's the brains of the operation. So if them two keep me straight, occasionally I get a phone call from Thomas, and he'll go, "Hey, you need to take that down." But anyway, we're excited to join you guys in that, and
awesome.
it's going to be a great time. That championship will be in October. So I haven't ever experienced the Knucklehead. Thomas actually fished it last year. So tell us a little bit about the Knucklehead. We're just going to kind of bounce around here wherever it takes us tonight. Okay.
Yeah, no problem. I actually went out today and filmed part of my video for my Knucklehead introduction video for this year. So I went out and I caught a few fish. And what's funny is I'm going to turn this video into probably half fishing and half talking about Knucklehead to try to get people on board. But the Knucklehead tournament is going to be 4 months, May, June, July, August, and you can pick up to 12 different teams, captains that you can pick to be on their team for a monthly online tournament. And if you win one of those months, you get to be on that person's team. So if you win May on my team, you're locked in on my team. There's going to be 4 other winners, same thing as John's, and Bearded Dad, and all the other guys that are going to be in on Alex Rudd, Chad Hoover, Fluke Master, all these guys. So you can pick your different team and go win it. And if you think you can put together your best 5 good fish, or if you just want to compete, it's $25 for that month. It's a great way to just get into tournament fishing and just do your first tournament if you've never done one before, because there's several kind of steps you need to kind of do to learn. If you're an old pro at tournaments, you've done a lot, this would be easy for you to kind of sign up. And what happened was, last year was the first one we did. I had 4 guys win to get on mine. We got an Airbnb down there around Huntsville, Gunnersville area, and got to go out and fish one day, then fish the tournament. Well, this year it's going to be a 2-day tournament, one day on Gunnersville, one day on Wheeler, and I've never even been on Wheeler, so and I like that kind of stuff. I like mixing things up. I like changing it up. You get one day fish here, one day fish there. Try to get your best fish. So there's a few steps to go through, but it's very exciting, and I'm sure you got links, and I got links on mine, and yeah, and even if you're hearing this later on, you can sign up anytime throughout the month, and we got 4 months to do it.
Yeah, I'm real excited about it. I've kind of kept up with it last year, and I was kind of getting my own thing started last year with the tournament trails and everything, and just really kind of for fun. And then next thing I know, it just kind of fell in my lap and went crazy. People want to fish, so I mean, I feel like there's lots of other opportunities out there, but I mean, what's one more, But
Yeah.
I'm real excited about it to actually get to go and meet, you and some of the other guys that I've fishing with Gramps. I've had him on the podcast. I've had Bearded Dads. I've had Chad. I've had quite a few people on the podcast. This has been a really good thing for me to get to, talk with people in person. And then again, I appreciate you being here tonight. I know you're busy, but I am so looking forward to going to Alabama and putting a handshake on you guys and,
Oh yeah.
Getting to know you a little bit more,
And same for us. Like I've been doing this a long time, and I've seen guys. I've been, for 8 years. You see them on YouTube, and then you finally meet them in person, or it's funny. It's finally. It's like what I feel like I know you. Been watching you forever.
Yeah,
Let me actually introduce myself to you. Do you actually know who I am? Stuff like
exactly.
that. You never know.
Right.
And sometimes people. What's funny was there was guys down there last year. They're coming up to me and like, I've been watching you for 5-6 years. I'm like, man, that's crazy. And then there's some guys they have no idea who I am. And that's
Right.
what's fun about kind of getting a group of people together. All these different influencers, of guys, and different team captains getting their groups together.
Yeah.
And we also get to share each other's stuff, so people get to see other people from it.
Right. It's a great idea. It's Chad's brainchild, and you know, it's awesome because you're putting more people, you're getting more people involved with everybody through this, and I just think it's going to be a really good deal all the way around. So
Oh,
tell us about your the most favorite fishing trip or your most favorite video that you've ever done in your channel. And I know you got 987 of them to think through, so
yeah.
take your time.
Somebody asked me this the other day, and I'm like, I don't know. My favorite my favorite fishing trip is always the next one I'm going on. So like I definitely built my channel on like creek fishing, but my passion is exploration. And creeks are just untapped places that people don't fish a lot. Out of the way, places. Rivers are my next thing that I'm huge into. Any kind of river that you can't really fish on a boat, I want to go explore. I want to kayak every part of it. So exploration is what drives me, and I just want to go everywhere. But there's one video that is kind of one of the ones that kind of got me started, and it's this little bitty creek. It was underneath the highway. It was like a half mile from my sister's house, and I was over there one day, and I walked down the road to it, and I was fishing it, and I caught several good fish out of there. And that was one of the creeks. I'm like, this is one of like, man, there's all kinds of places that people never would think about going. So whenever I started the channel, I went back there, and I'm fishing it with a little ultralight rod, catching fish. I catch a creek chub, out of it, and I saw these bass in there. So I took that creek chub, put it on a hook. I threw it out there, and I had like a 2.5, 3 pound largemouth come up and eat that creek chub out of water about that deep. I had no idea he was in there because like he was hiding in a little hole. And but when he saw that chub, he came out and ate it. And that's
Yeah.
the kind of thing that just like it's just so surprising to me what lives in these little places, and kind of just always drives me to want to stop at every little place I come across because you just don't know what's in there.
Yeah. So were you like in the Boy Scouts or like in an explorer group, or does that just come natural to
No,
you?
I was born in Bowling Green, Kentucky, so Lived there for lived in Southern Kentucky until I was about 10. So everybody that area, either you fish, you play basketball, and you go to church, and that's about all there is to do.
Yeah.
So I
Okay.
lived in the country, no neighbors kind of place. So one of the houses we lived in, my dad was actually a pastor of the church, and there was a little bit creek in the backyard, and I was actually homeschooled. So like every day I would just go down to that creek and either that or go play basketball. And so I go down to that creek and I was amazed by all the little different things going on. I would catch, tadpoles and turtles and snakes and fish. And I remember catching different fish and thinking, these two fish are different, but I don't know what they are. I had no idea how to look that up and then, we talk to guys that are fishermen, but they only know bass. So they're like, that's a bluegill. And then, well, that's a bluegill. I'm like, they can't both be bluegill. One of them's something else. So that kind of little stuff just stuck in my mind, watching little bitty darters and crawdads and that was probably, 7, 8 years old. And I would just catch all these little things. And I kind of got out of it going through high school playing sports but I kind of just come back full circle and just got back a desire to start doing that again when I moved back over here to East Tennessee.
Yeah.
And I just keep finding more and more places to go. And all I do is search for creeks and streams and everything I can fish.
So what got you into the kayak part of it? Was that the creeks
To get to more places,
access?
Yeah. So I bought a kayak. I can't remember if I'd already quit my job. It was right around. No, I hadn't quit yet because there were some guys from work that I worked HVAC with, and they were like, "Hey, there's a river that I've kayaked," and they were telling me. I was like, "That sounds amazing." Like I'd never even heard of doing that. It's basically a big creek, but a small little river in the mountains. And they're telling me about it, and I was like, that sounds like kind of stuff I want to do. So I bought like a $700 kayak. First trip I went down, I flipped it and lost a GoPro and rods and stuff. But dude, I was hooked. That was one of the coolest trips. I was like, this. I didn't even know that stuff was out there. Like I didn't realize that you could just do that. We floated like 6 miles, crystal clear water. You're seeing fish. You're just going through farms and countryside that you're never going to see unless you kayak that water. And that's just driving me to go to more and more. And then I kind of got into bass tournaments through some of the other guys, Josh Sharp and Alex Rudd, watching their bass tournaments. And I was like, hey, that kind of seems like something I might try to do now that I have time. I could never do that stuff when I did HVAC because I worked weekends all the time. So, but now that I have free, I'm like, okay, let me try tournament fishing. And that's a whole nother thing I've kind of dove into. I love it, but I don't like pre-fishing because I don't even like going out on lakes that much for pre-fishing. But tournament time, it's just hit that switch. My competitiveness comes back, and I'm like, all right, let's see what I can do.
Right. So what kind of kayak are you fishing out of now?
Well, I have 6 kayaks laying outside right now.
Nice.
So today I went out to a little spot in Old Town PDL 120, and that's my main kayak, tournament kayak, stuff like that. So I really like that one. That was the first nice kayak I ever had, and I was like, wow, this is amazing, stable. I can pedal around. I have a Crescent Shoaly and a Bonafide RVR for rivers, and a couple other ones I'm trying out and using. But main ones I go back and forth are probably the Shoaly, the RVR, and then the Old Town for like tournaments and bigger water.
Yeah. Well, I've been fishing out of an 11.5 for a couple of years now. And I'm a big guy. I've said it on here 100 times. I'm 6'7". I weigh about 320, wear a size 15 shoe. So I've got that Outlaw pretty well loaded, just with me on it. But, I've got my rods and my black pack, and I've got like a 30 amp or 35 amp battery for my cameras and lighting and all that stuff. And then I've got a 100 amp battery for my trolling motor, because I do paddle, but not much.
Yeah.
But I went out on it the other day. I added 2 9-inch grouse to it this last week and a dashboard, and I'm like, God dang, I'm pretty close to the water here.
Putting you down a little further.
Yeah. But I got the max weight limit test on it for sure. But I did just a couple days ago, got approval from the boss lady in there, and I ordered a new canoe unlimited. So I should be getting it in a couple weeks. I'm pretty excited about it. I got a pretty good deal on it. So I'm looking forward to sliding over to it. I've got two of the Outlaws, and I'm gonna try to get my wife more involved. We started fishing. I started fishing off the bank and out of a flat bottom boat 45 years ago, nearly 50 now. But anyway, I fished off the bank out of flat bottoms and bass boats, and then I'm kind of like you. I kind of fell away from it for a few years when I started working and running my own business, and didn't really have time for it, or didn't make time for it, I guess. And then I bought a bass boat, and anyway, life rolls on, sold it, and bought a 2-man boat, and my wife and I started fishing out of it, and then had grandkids. Then I got into the kayak, and man, I tell you what, I love it so much. I got a 21-foot bass boat sitting right out there in the shed that hadn't been out of the in over a year and a half, hadn't been out of the shed, and I need to just sell it and get rid of it. But I love kayak fishing. It's, to me, it's the best. Getting back to the creeks, have you done much fishing up in Oklahoma?
A little bit. I have a sister that lives out there, and then I went out there for the Bassmaster Championship, so I fished it in a kayak, and we fished on the Illinois River a little bit. There's a ditch that's beside close to my sister's house that I go every time I go there, and I have no idea what it's connected to, but I've caught largemouth, crappie, bluegill, gar, and it looks like a little nothing on the side of the road.
Yeah.
But they're a little bit flatter. Some of those waterways kind of connect, a lot more of them connect to each other. But yeah, I haven't done a lot of fishing out there, but yeah, a little bit.
Yeah. The reason I'm asking is I have several guys that I work with. I'm a paramedic, and there's a lot of us guys at work that fish, and first responders that kayak fish with us and things like that. And we're looking at going up to Barron Creek, which is, I think it comes off of the Illinois River. It's a real clear water
Yeah, I think I
creek.
saw that.
I think it's only about 6 or maybe it's 12 miles long. I think there's a takeout halfway. We was going to try to make a 2-day trip out of it if we can all, get our ducks lined up and everybody get off on the same days and drive,
Yeah.
because it's only about a 3-hour drive for us.
Okay.
We're going to try to go up there and fish, and I've done a little research on YouTube about it, and it looks like a really scenic place, and there's largemouth and smallmouth and just a plethora of sunfish, crappie and brim and all that stuff. But I just wondered if you had ever had any experience on that Barron Creek arm, I think is what they call it.
Yeah, no, I think I saw that when we were looking stuff, but if it's the one I'm thinking of that runs into if it runs into the Illinois has and I learned this from Drew Gregory that won the Bassmaster Championship. We were staying in the same house, and he said that they put Tennessee smallmouth in the Illinois River, and that's why the smallmouth in there get bigger, because the native smallmouth is the Neosha, which aren't as big. So yeah, I caught I went up the river right out of the lake off Tenkiller, just getting in the current, and caught a 21-inch largemouth, 6 pounds.
Wow.
And second day of the tournament, and
Yeah.
then I caught I didn't catch any smallmouth, but the next day, so me and another guy, Brian, we were like, we got to go fish the river. We went up the river, and we fished 4 hours on the river, and I caught a 18.5-inch smallie. He caught a 20.75-inch smallmouth, and caught some largemouth and some Kentucky spots. But yeah, it's super clear water, beautiful area. It should be y'all should have a really fun trip if it's anything like that.
Yeah, so we got a couple comments here. Says, do you still use the RVR 119
Yep,
much? I think you
yeah, I used
that's
it
the one you
last
mentioned,
week.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I try to rotate them. I've always had a bunch of trucks growing up. Like as soon as I can start buying vehicles, I'm having like 3 or 4 vehicles. I have 3 trucks right now. One of them don't work, but So
Yeah.
I like that with kayaks. I like just messing with different things, going through them.
Yeah. So we got a local guy from my area here. Fished a couple of my tournaments, East Texas Yakking. Looking forward to competing in the Knucklehead Challenge to get to spend a weekend fishing with you guys. Well, I'm looking forward to it too, to meet, more people and just to enlarge my circle a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
And then here's an answer from Tori Walton. Barren Fork runs into Illinois about 2 miles before it dumps into 10 Killer. So we may have to hit old 10 Killer up as
Yeah,
well.
that's the
So
one I saw. I remember that. I tried to get up there, but I couldn't make it up to Barren Fork.
I say,
But that's another one. I think it's big enough to kayak also.
yeah. Well, anything exciting and new you want to reveal to us about what's going on with Creek Fishing Adventures? Have you got any big summer trips planned, or anything you can divulge to us that maybe the general public don't know?
One thing I started was I started a podcast with Ethan from Fish Anything. It's called the Whatever's Biting podcast, and we do once a month. So we've only had 4 so far. So that's something that I put out once a month. It's just something I'm trying. I'm gonna try to. My goal is to do it for a year. See if I like it or not. I've tried
Yeah,
podcast stuff before, and I always back out. I don't know what it is. I never can keep up, but I don't have, I always have a lot of plans. I have a lot of plans to go to a lot of different rivers, and just I have several on the list around East Tennessee. One of my goals is to go to West Tennessee and fish. I've never really fished over in West Tennessee because it's 7 hours almost over to the other side of Tennessee from where I'm at.
oh
But
yeah,
I want to go up to whatever that lake is up there. I always forget what it's called, but it's the only natural lake in Tennessee. It's real shallow and everything, and um, I want to do a trip that I did last year. So last year I did this thing. It was 5 rivers in 5 days, and I kayaked. I picked 5 places in Tennessee, and I went 5 days in a row and kayaked them. And I want to try to do that again. It didn't work out totally. One of the things got messed up, but I had backup plans.
yeah,
So I kind of want to do some like bigger trips and like bigger things put together. But I love doing I want to do more overnight trips. It's just like you said, John, it's getting people together and getting the timing set up. That's the hardest part.
yeah,
But those sound fun.
yeah. I which I kind of use fishing as I guess you'd say as a release or a relief from my
Hmm.
job, but it's nice to get out and spend a day by myself on the lake. And a lot of times this is probably one of the main reasons I don't have as many videos as I could, because a lot of times I just don't even want to film. I just want to go fish. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And if I catch fish, I catch fish. And if I don't, I just get to relax and I decompress, if I've had a bad shift or, some bad calls, or, sometimes I don't even put my motor on. I just paddle and, I go, oh, it looks like a good place for a fish. Cast there a little bit, may paddle another 600-700 yards and
Yeah.
find another bush. But I do like going with people because I enjoy them catching fish just as much as I do. It's just to see the excitement that it brings them. It kind of makes me feel like a kid again.
It's fun, especially I love taking the people to some of the rivers that I've got to explore, and I'm like, you got to come fish this with me, and then have them catch fish. That I feel like you're like, you know, like taking a kid fishing, but you're having fun
Right.
like a kid too. So
Absolutely.
I really enjoy doing stuff like that. It's fun to. I have to turn down people. You probably the same thing. People always,
Yeah.
I can't fish with everybody because I got to go out
Oh
and
yeah.
actually make videos on my own too.
Right. Got
But
to make a living.
yeah, but it
Yeah.
is fun to get people. I probably enjoy going by myself the best. And my favorite thing is going to a little bitty creek and wade it all
Yeah.
alone. And you might only go 500 yards, and you're just relax, fish at your own pace. You're standing in the water. We have a lot of cool streams that are really cold. So, in the summertime when it's 95 degrees, I'm in a creek that's shaded and
Right.
in 60 degree, 70 degree water and staying pretty cool usually. So that right there is always relaxing for me in the summer.
Yeah, that's another thing I like about kayak fishing is because I fish tournaments, bass boat tournaments, pretty much since I was a teenager, but you know, you always got those friends that you like to fish with. And, if you go in their boat, then you're in the back and you kind of have to adapt to their pace or, if they're throwing, search baits and all, you're not going to be throwing glide baits and worms and jigs and things, that everybody has their own style of fishing, but you got, that's part of the teamwork. And, that's one thing I like about fishing with my wife in the boat is because we think a lot alike. We fish, we have a lot of the same habits and as far as fishing goes and everything. But you get somebody, like I said, that's burning a crankbait and you're going, God, slow down. This is a great place to throw a jig or, a glide bait. Let's search with a glide bait. Let's get some of those followers and then let's pick them off one at a time, but that's one of the reasons that I enjoy the kayak so much is because I'm my own captain. It's my boat. I can go at my pace. I can fish how I want to. And another thing is you don't have the luxury of just loading up and running 75 miles an hour across the lake to another spot that looks just like this one. Makes you use your little head there for something besides a hat rack. It makes you look at the situation, the environment. It makes you try techniques and things that you might not have normally done because that's just, you're slowed down so much. It's like almost like being in slow motion. I have caught so many more big fish since I started fishing out of the kayak than I ever did out of the bass boat. Caught lots of fish in the bass boat, but when you slow down and you start picking that thing apart, you start really becoming an angler, I believe.
Yeah, I feel like it helps you learn. Yeah, it just helps you learn and helps you observe. And that's I'm big on just observation. Just I want to see I want to see things react. You see a little bluegill over here jump because you come up really quiet and a little bass is chasing it, or you see something move or see something move before you spook it. I feel like it's just it puts you right there with the fish, like you're way more connected to the nature, everything.
Yeah. So getting back to Barren Fork here, Tori Walton says, careful traveling for Barren Fork. It can get pretty dry pretty easily. There's other spring-fed creeks north of Tahlequah. So, Tori, drop us some of those names there. And if you don't mind, you can shoot me a message on Messenger under John Suits, or you can do it under Greenfish Nation. Send me a number. Maybe I can pick your brain a little bit and learn about some of this stuff. I'd appreciate that. Well, you got anything else you want to talk about? What's your favorite kind of bait to throw?
Here recently, it's been the spinnerbait, because I've been doing a lot of rivers, and now that's warming up around here, the fish are really starting to get active. I caught 3 today on a spinnerbait, but you can just all our streams are pretty steady flow. If I'm in a stream that's flowing, and I can just kind of toss a spinnerbait and cover water and like hit logs and come over logs, and they've been eating it really good. Mostly spotted bass or Alabama. We have a lot of Alabama bass around my area,
Yeah.
and they get 16, 17, 18 and bigger. But in 16 to 17, 18-inch range, there's a bunch that size, and those are 2 to 3 pound fish that hit really hard in current.
Oh yeah. That
And I
makes it
go
even.
a little north of me is more smallmouth. And I haven't done. We did a little bit, but I haven't got on a really good smallmouth bite yet this spring. But yum dinger is my other like favorite lure. Little it's bubblegum lemon swirl, pink and yellow, and it looks dumb, but
Oh, I
I
throw it
just
all
kind
the
of
time.
yeah. It's one of those, I never saw anybody use it, and I was like, I'm just gonna try that. And next thing I know, I'm catching all kinds of fish. I caught my PB largemouth, PB spotted bass, and like several other like really close to my biggest fish on that
Yeah.
lure.
Yeah, that is a crazy mixed up looking color, but I think the contrast in it, if you look at it underwater, with our eyes, of course, it looks to me like what a real earthworm would
Yeah,
look like, the colors of it. You know what I mean? At least in our water. Most of our water is a little stained anyway. We don't have a lot of clear
yeah,
fishing water. There's a few lakes that are like OHIV. I go out there sometimes, and you can see the bottom in 10 to 12 foot of water, but that's a rarity for us. The western lakes in Texas are like that, but not here in East Texas. But um, well, I've got a little clip. It's about 59 seconds, and I always try to learn something from somebody. And obviously you're very successful at what you do, and I value your opinion. What I did today is I've today's kind of a mixed emotion day for me. So when I was a kid, there was a professional bass fisherman named Thomas Vandeventer that lived across the street from me. Um, and I trained field trial retrievers, and he built a pond, and he built it for bass fishing, but he also built it for me to be able to train dogs on. Even as a teenager, I trained dogs, and it has lots of islands and points and things. But long story short, I lost that pond today. I caught my last fish on it today. I've been fishing on that pond for 35 years,
man.
and the property sold.
Yeah,
So I carried one of my best friends out there today, and we spent most of the afternoon. I think he said he caught like 30 or 35, and I don't know, I caught 12 or 15. But anyway, I always try to do some kind of little short or something, when I'm out fishing. You got to make hay while the sun shines. So I want to play this, and I want to get your opinion on it, because I'm trying to get better at what I enjoy. And my grandpa always told me, said, if you want to be successful, mirror yourself after someone that's successful and value their opinion, because they've already traveled that road. So if I could just beg you for another minute of your time
oh
here
yeah.
and play this video, and I want your honest opinion on it. I want you to tell me how I can improve it, change it, do better, whatever I need to do. The floor is yours. Hey guys, it's John here with Greenfish Nation. Anybody that's competitive in life always has an edge. Today, I'm going to show you a little bit about my edge. If you can keep your trailers on your spinner baits, buzz baits, chatter baits longer, you can spend more time fishing. I've showed you guys this trick before. It's a simple little hack that I do to keep my bait on my hook better. Take one of these little wacky rig tools. I'm going to slide that right on there, just like that. And today I'm going to be throwing a Z-Man Willow Vibe. And I am going to use that little ring right there to help me keep my bait on my hook longer. There you go. That'll get her done, boys and girls. So that little was just a little short thing I was doing while I was rigging up for the day. I just I want to be the best I can be at this. Whether I'm doing podcasting, I'm doing long form videos, I'm doing shorts. I know how to fish.
Yeah.
I love teaching people. I love sharing my life experiences with people, and YouTube has afforded me a way to do that. I just want your opinion. What can I do to make that more appealing, better? What can I do to improve that?
That's hard. I thought that was really good. Very clean, very clear. You shot on something really good quality. You can hear a little bit of wind noise. You can add a little mic or a wind muffle, but if your area is windy all the time, you might look into that. I don't usually use wind stuff because most time it's not that windy. So every once in a while, sometimes though, that wind noise also is natural. Where some people like that's real. You're really out there, real doing that, and it's as long as you're clear, it's not going to be a big problem. I don't think.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good little tip. It was short to the point. You got right on it. You didn't draw it out, and that's what a lot of people do. I feel like the biggest thing most people do is they take something and they draw it out too long. They either talk way too much or say the same things over and over. Where you kind of got right to the point. That was less than a minute.
Yeah.
I hadn't seen that before. It's a good idea, and
Yeah.
obviously you have a lot more experience, so that's the kind of thing that you can show. Yeah, I've never even fished with that lure, so.
Yeah, I like that little lure. It's basically a chatterbait. It's just a smaller version. It's got a round lead head on it. Uh, you can reel it extremely slow and it stays extremely active.
Hmm.
And that was actually a Yum Dinger that I was using for
Okay.
just the trailer or, the bait for it, I've put skirted Yum Dingers on there. I've used crawls. I've done all kinds of stuff on it. But I that's a little tip that I've shared. That works really good on raised bugs and flipping stuff as well. If you're using a straight shank hook with a bait keeper on it, you put that little O-ring on there and push it up on there, and you can throw that bait all day.
When would you use that over? Like, what is the advantage of that over like a chatterbait or something like that? Like,
Um,
like what's the difference in that? Or
so basically, what that Willow Vibe is to me in my book is a finesse chatterbait.
okay,
So, like right now here in Texas, the bass are pretty tight lipped. We are in all three stages of the spawn. We have fish that are in pre-spawn, we have fish that are spawning, and we have fish that are beginning to post-spawn. And you know, depending on the weather and things like that, the mood of the fish. If I get a lot of short strikes on a regular chatterbait, I downsize. I go to that micro chatterbait or that I call it a finesse chatterbait. I can move it a little slower with a little smaller presentation and get a lot of action out of it. And I catch a lot of fish on that.
that I've never used that. Now I wish I had that today because I was fishing current, which the water's going to push your lure, but I had two or three times where I threw a chatterbait and I saw a fish follow underneath it, but never came and ate it. And one of them I followed up with a Yum Dinger and caught it. And then I threw a spinnerbait, which is a little slower, and I caught a couple. But I'm like, that makes me think something like that because this water is crystal clear. If I
Yeah.
throw something like that, I can work it slower and give that fish a little more time to eat it. Huh,
Yep.
I'm gonna have to get those now. Yeah, now I got something new to try.
Yeah, and
That's
they make them in all, they make them in 4 or 5 different weights and, plethora of colors, black, white, yellow, red, just all kinds of colors. But yeah, give that thing a try. I think you'll enjoy it. And you can throw it on ultralight, like you're fishing. And, I've never fished it in current, but like with you fishing on creeks and things, man, I could see you, with a little bit longer rod and holding that rod tip up high and that
mhm,
thing just
keeping it right there.
sitting there in that current and just, I mean, you could really move that thing slow. I
That's
could see that thing being deadly.
that's one of my things I try to do. I always feel like slower catches way more fish. Everybody wants to crank things in fast, and just going slower, keeping it in that fish's strike zone, you're just going to catch more fish for the most part. And I'm always trying to find lures that are kind of mimic that. And for the Yum Dinger, that's what I started fishing it like super slow. Like I'll throw it up
Mhm.
on a bank or something and just let it sit there 2 or 3 seconds longer than most people. And
Yeah.
I've caught so many more fish. I felt like from doing that. So,
So speaking of that, the honey hole, that's the pond that I was talking about earlier. This last couple of years, it's got really inundated with a lot of real fine, like hairy, like moss that sits on the bottom. So you can't really throw a weighted Texas rig, and a lot of times even a weightless will hang up in that stuff, you know. So what I've started doing is I started teaching my daughter this. She's 11. We started teaching her to dead stick. And that's literally taking that yum dinger and casting that thing out there and don't move it for sometimes 3 or 4 minutes. And you'd be surprised. Those fish, it's like, you know, of course, this is me putting myself in a fish's brain.
Yeah.
You know, they see that thing falling and falling, and then it just sits there and they can't stand that.
Yeah.
And it may take them a minute or two. They'll go over there and they'll pick that thing up and take off with it, you know. And you know, it's just dead sticking. You know, I grew up doing that on Lake Fork when the timber was real heavy, and you know, it was like every time you pulled your rod up, you got hung up on something. You know, if you were, and we've done it weightless and with a weight, you know, just cast out there, let it sit, and have done real good like that. But yeah, that yum dinger, that's stick bait. You know, when Gary Yamamoto come up with that Cinco stick bait, that changed fishing. You can do anything with that thing. You know, I throw it for Texas rig. I throw it weightless. I throw it wacky. I drop shot it wacky. You know,
You can use it like a fluke. I've used it in a fluke over grass,
absolutely.
just
Just
twitching
twitching
it.
it over the grass, man. That is got to be one of the most versatile baits. But yeah, but well, man, I really appreciate you joining me tonight. If you don't have anything else, I do appreciate that you come out and been with us tonight, and I really enjoyed talking with you. I look so forward to meeting you in person and getting to hang out, you know, and just visit and get to know you. I'm looking forward to this whole knucklehead thing. Guys, if you haven't jumped over there already tonight on Creek Fishing Adventures, slide over there to YouTube and drop him a subscribe and check out his videos. I promise you won't be disappointed. So, John, I appreciate you, brother. And I guess I'm gonna get off here, and we'll have to do this again sometime.
Hey, you let me know. Great coming on. Great talking to you. And I feel like we could talk all night about different things.
Yeah.
And it's gonna be fun when we get down there to Alabama. Hopefully the fish are eating good like they were last year. I've learned some stuff. I've been getting better. I'm gonna do a tournament down there here in a month or two. I'm gonna try to get down there. But there's that lake. Those lakes have so many creeks on them. You can just go for miles on little creek channels down there. So I love that kind of fishing. So much to explore.
Yeah. Well, I'm looking forward to it. Looking forward to meeting you, and looking forward to doing this again.
Yes, sir.
So I'll let you go. God bless you, brother. And we'll see you when we see you. Okay.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Guys, thank you for joining us tonight here on Beyond the Paddle with Greenfish Nation. That was Mr. John Dalton of Creek Fishing Adventures. If you haven't already slid over there and joined up on his channel, I encourage you to do so. You will not be disappointed. He will open your eyes to fishing in places that you have never thought of, probably places that you drive across every single day on your way to and from work or to the grocery store or to church or wherever your travels take you. Guys, thank you again for joining us. Until next time, I'm John here with Greenfish Nation. God bless you guys. Tight lines.
Thank you again for joining our podcast. We appreciate your continued support. Don't forget to subscribe to us on YouTube at Bass Fishing with Greenfish Nation. Check us out on Facebook at the group Greenfish Nation Kayak Tournament Series, Trails and Challenges. We can also be found on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok under the handle Greenfish Nation. Thanks again, and until next time, I'm John, and I want to wish you tight lines, guys.